Welcome to the Impressa Era podcast, a realm where intuition flows through real life and your personal power is celebrated. I'm your host, Queen Impressa, and together we'll explore tarot, self-mastery, sensuality, and aligned growth. Now take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and let's get into it. Welcome back to the Queen Impressa podcast. I'm your host, and right now we're going to dive into a topic that ties into the High Priestess education that I spoke on in the Impressa Academy this week. So there's a big difference between being confused and ignoring yourself. And baddies, a lot of y'all are not actually confused. You already know that relationship feels off. You already know that friendship drains you. You already know you're shrinking yourself in rooms that you are meant to dominate. But because that intuition whispers instead of screams, everyone keeps waiting for a dramatic sign. And that's what I want to talk about today. Trusting your intuition is really about rebuilding trust with yourself after years of being taught not to. So get cozy, light a candle, grab your tea, your snacks, whatever the vibe is today, because we're diving into intuition, the High Priestess energy, and why your spirit has probably been trying to warn you long before your reality finally caught up. Now, first things first, the High Priestess energy is not loud, and that's why people miss her. Everybody loves the Empress, I mean, myself included, because she's abundance, beauty, luxury, royalty, and softness. Everybody loves the Magician because it's manifestation and power, right? But the High Priestess, she sits in silence. She watches and observes and just knows. And that kind of energy terrifies people because we live in a world that rewards impulsiveness. Everybody wants instant gratification, the instant answers, instant proof. But intuition doesn't always work like that. Sometimes intuition feels like discomfort before gathering evidence, or suddenly being exhausted around someone you used to adore. It feels like your body saying no while your mind is trying to negotiate. And let's dive into that, because one thing I had to learn on my spiritual journey is that intuition speaks through the body first, always. Your body catches that energy before your mind can even rationalize it. That random anxiety, the exhaustion, that pit in your stomach, and the sudden urge to pull away or walk away. Sometimes your spirit already picked up on what your conscious mind hasn't even fully processed. And I think a lot of us were conditioned to distrust that, especially people who grew up constantly being told they were too sensitive, myself included, still being called that from time to time. But anyways, I digress. Let me tell you something right now. Sensitive people are not weak. We are antennas. The problem is when you're gifted at sensing energy, but nobody teaches you discernment. Then you start gaslighting yourself, saying, maybe I'm overthinking, or maybe I really am dramatic, or I'm imagining things. Meanwhile, your intuition's in the corner throwing shoes at you, trying to save your life. And honestly, a lot of us lose trust in our intuition because we stayed way too long in situations we already knew were wrong. That relationship where your spirit felt uneasy from day one. The friend that secretly competed with you, the job that drained your soul. That High Priestess doesn't teach through punishment. She'll teach you through confirmation, meaning you usually get the lesson after you ignored her whispers. And once you experience enough of those moments, eventually you'll realize, oh, my intuition was right the entire time. Now here's the tricky part. Fear and intuition can sound very similar if you haven't healed. Clock it. Because not every uncomfortable feeling is intuition. Sometimes it's trauma or projection or anxiety trying to protect you from getting hurt again. And this is why healing and shadow work matter so much. Your intuition becomes clearer when your nervous system is calmer. I really need y'all to hear me on that. Your intuition becomes clearer when your nervous system is calmer. People tend to think intuition gets stronger through aesthetic spirituality only, right? So candles, tarot, crystals, moon water, and baddies. I love all of that. You know I do. But intuition also strengthens through rest, boundary setting, self-awareness, and regulating your emotions. Because when your nervous system is constantly in survival mode, every single thing feels like danger. or a threat. And that's why some people also confuse hypervigilance with spiritual gifts and go into a spiritual psychosis. And that's just a whole nother topic for another podcast. But sometimes trauma can make you hyper aware, but intuition has a different texture. The intuition observes and whispers. And one thing I've learned, your intuition rarely needs to explain itself 10 times, right? So that first feeling, the first pause, that's usually the purest message before overthinking enters the chat. Now let's talk about why people struggle to trust themselves. Because people will teach you to abandon yourself real fast, especially if you're empathetic. You start by prioritizing everybody else's comfort over your own inner knowing. You ignore the red flags. You stay accessible because you don't want to seem mean or off or just whatever it is excuse that you come up with. You explain away the disrespect because you're trying to be understanding. Meanwhile, your spirit is exhausted. And one thing the High Priestess understands deeply is discernment. So I think I've preached this so many times in all of my episodes, but not everybody deserves access to you. Not everybody deserves the explanations or your softness. And let me be real with you. Sometimes intuition sounds like something about this person is off, and I don't need to gather evidence to honor that feeling. People hate hearing that because society wants women, especially, to just ignore themselves to appear polite. But your intuition is protective, it's ancient, it's passed down. And honestly, the older that I get, the more I trust energy over words. Because anyone can say the right thing, can act like they're kind, they can curate an image, especially over the internet. But energy will tell on people all the time. Now, I know somebody listening is probably asking, okay, Queen, but how do I trust my intuition more? So let's get into that. First, stop asking everybody else what you already know. Some of y'all keep seeking second opinions because you're hoping somebody will give you permission to ignore your intuition. And I say that with the utmost love. If 10 people have to convince you something feels wrong, then it probably feels wrong. Second, spend more time in silence. The High Priestess energy thrives in stillness. Your intuition can't compete with constant noise, scrolling, opinions, overstimulation. Some of y'all don't even know your inner voice anymore because the internet is screaming at it 24/7. So put the phone down, turn the laptop off, turn the PC off, and sit with yourself. Journal, meditate, take a spiritual bath. Even turn off the music if you need to, because your spirit has things it needs to say. And third, pay attention to patterns in your body. Your intuition may already have a language with you. Maybe your chest tightens around dishonest people, or you get exhausted around energy vampires. I can absolutely attest to that. Or you feel lighter after making aligned decisions. Your body will always remember what your mind forgets. Fourth, stop betraying yourself in small ways. And this one is big. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you tolerate disrespect, or you silence your discomfort, you weaken your self-trust. Trusting your intuition starts with honoring yourself consistently, even in the little things. And lastly, give yourself permission to be wrong sometimes, because I think people fear trusting their intuition because they're scared of making mistakes. Intuition isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. And sometimes your intuition protects you. It'll redirect you, it'll guide you towards the growth and help you avoid pain. But either way, learning to trust yourself changes everything. You stop needing that constant validation from outside sources. You stop having to over-explain your boundaries. You stop forcing connections your spirit already rejected. And baddies, peace enters your life so much differently after that. Now, before we close out this episode, it's going to be a really short one, but I want you to really sit with this question. How many times has your intuition been right before your reality confirmed it? Think about that. Think about every moment you ignored yourself, every red flag you explained away, every gut feeling that ended up being true later. Your intuition has been trying to love you for a very long time. So the High Priestess reminds us that wisdom is not always loud. It's just simply the quiet voice inside of you saying, this isn't right for me anymore. And honestly, that whisper can change your entire life if you finally decide to listen. So this week, I challenge you to reconnect with yourself. Less second guessing or over explaining. Your spirit already knows more than you think it does. Just trust her. All right. Everyone stay safe, stay soft, stay spiritually protected, and as always, Don't let anybody manipulate you out of your magic. Bye, lovelies.